Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. And the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network is heard on Spreaker and on Stitcher and on iHeartRadio.com, on Podcast Addict. We're on Spotify. I think I forgot to mention that last time out. Also on Google Podcasts, and we're on TuneIn as well. You also hear the podcast by going to my Twitter account, which is Digital25. You can hear it on my YouTube page, Gary Williams, and also you can hear it on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network page on Facebook. So that's many places you can hear this wonderful podcast. And this week will be very, very short. And this time I promise it's going to be very short because I don't have a lot of information this week. But we do have some news concerning some Beltway boxers, especially ones from Baltimore. We have a big month coming up. And it actually starts as we record this tonight in just a few hours. We have a big bout coming up for one of our Beltway boxers from Baltimore. And we also want to talk about the bravery of truly one of my favorite people in this area from the Beltway boxing region. This man has done so much for his community. And most recently, he was put in a very interesting situation, which he not only survived, but he thrived. And as the way he has been, he thought about the other person more so, almost as much as he thought about himself. So we're going to talk about that this week on the podcast. Once again, the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you as always by Real Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything in between. Boxing Law on the Beltway recommends Real Time Pain Relief, the fast-acting ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief, now endorsed by two-time heavyweight champion Big George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for real-time pain relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. Thank you very much, Courtney Williams, for the assistance there. My daughter's in here with me. And also, we are brought to you by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods. All at Deborah. That's Debra Spears.com. Well, coming up tonight, later on this evening, big matchup for super middleweight out of Baltimore, Maryland, by the name of Lorenzo Truck Simpson. He'll be in his first scheduled 8-round bout against fellow undefeated boxer Sonny Primetime Duversonet of Avon Park, Florida. And the bout will be held at the MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, this bout has been on the books for a couple of months, and finally, look like they're going to get it together, and it's going to be televised by ESPN, and that telecast will begin at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be televised on ESPN tonight. Now, this will be Simpson, as we said, first for 8-round encounter, his second straight time at the Mississippi Coast Center. Correction, I'm sorry. This will be MGM Las Vegas, Nevada. So that's not true. It was supposed to be at the Mississippi Coast Center. Simpson is 8-0, 5 KOs. He knocked out Alexandro Duarte in the first round on July 11th, And Duversonet is 11-0-2, 8 KOs. He last fought on February 29th and scored a 5th-round TKO over Larry Smith in St. Petersburg, Florida. Now, Duversonet has knocked out his last 4 opponents, but if you look at his record, they haven't been against the greatest of opposition. So it'll be interesting to see what happens up against Lorenzo Simpson in this bout. So Lorenzo Simpson taking on Sonny Primetime Duversonet out of Avon Park, Florida. The bout will be held tonight at the MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nevada. The card will start at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, on that very same card at the MGM Grand, be a young man out of Oxon Hill, Maryland. I think he's going to be more of a middleweight in this particular bout, by the name of Akeem Action Jackson. Apparently, he's a junior, and his father is known as Akeem Action Jackson. So the boxer is known as Akeem Action Jackson. He'll compete in a 4-round contest against the debuting Kashad Elliott out of Plainfield, New Jersey, on this very same card, the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, Jackson is 1-1, 1 KO. He last fought on February 8th, scored a 4th-round TKO over Anthony Dave at Tyson's Playground in Vienna, Virginia. He's a boxer that's run by TAC Promotions. And Jackson was actually scheduled to compete on a card in Rock Hill, South Carolina, but at the last minute, his bout was canceled. They had about 15 bouts on that card. So that whole bout, was canceled. Now, Kashawn Elliott out of Plainfield, New Jersey, is apparently a very big-time boxer. He's managed by Split Team Management, and he's a 12-time amateur national champion. So, be interesting to see what Jackson does against this guy. Now, this bout will be on the undercard portion of this card, and it'll be televised by ESPN Plus. And that'll begin at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So, if you want to see Akeem Jackson, you can watch him on ESPN Plus. That card begins at 7:30 p.m. Lorenzo Simpson will be on ESPN, and that'll be at 10 p.m. The main event on this card is Rolando Navarrete taking on Ruben Villa for the WBO, I believe it's the middleweight championship, coming up on ESPN. So Lorenzo Simpson will be on a card that'll be on ESPN beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And Akeem Jackson will be on the undercard that'll start on ESPN Plus at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, for Baltimore boxers, this is going to be a huge month because there are 3 boxers all out of the same basic gym. That's the Upton Boxing Gym in Baltimore that are on big cards coming up. Now, last week we talked to you. We wondered where the Malik Iceman Hawkins Subriel Brownie Matias bout would take place, because we're scheduled to be on card coming up this week. The card that was scheduled to be the Sergey Lipinets card, but that card was canceled because Lipinets' opponent had visa problems. Well, they rescheduled the card, and it's going to now take place, same place, Mohegan Sun Casino, Uncasville, Connecticut, but it'll be on Saturday, October 24th. Between Malik Iceman Hawkins and Subriel Brownie Matias of Fajardo, Puerto Rico. Now, the bout scheduled for 10 rounds. Hawkins is 18-0, 11 KOs. He last fought on December 28th, scored a 5th round TKO over Darwin Price in Atlanta, Georgia. Matias is 15-1, 15 KOs. He'll try to bounce back from his only loss, a 10-round unanimous decision to Petros Ananayan on February 22nd in Las Vegas. And, of course, Matias was here in the Beltway at the MGM National Harbor Casino taking on Maxim Dadashev. And unfortunately, Dadashev passed away from his injuries in that bout. But so Matias is in there against Malik Iceman Hawkins. The bout now taking place on Saturday, October 24th. And it'll be at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut. Now, all roads lead to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Talked about this past week, where Gervonta Tank Davis will defend his WBA lightweight championship against Leo El Terremoto Santa Cruz of Rosemead, California, by way of Mexico. Santa Cruz puts up his WBA super lightweight title, and the bout will take place Saturday, October 31st at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. And it'll be a pay-per-view showdown there. That's the main event of the pay-per-view. And looking through the records this week, the only person I can remember, the last person I can remember, I should say, that headlined the pay-per-view that I can remember, and looking through my research, was Hasim Rockman in the rematch against Lennox Lewis. Now, William Joppy was also in that card against Howard Eastman, but I believe the main event was indeed Rockman taking on Lewis. Of course, Lewis knocked out Rockman in the rematch in that card later in 2001. I believe it's October of 2001. So that was the last time a boxer from this area had headlined a pay-per-view. So it's going to be a big month for Beltway boxers, especially the ones from Baltimore coming up. They have 3 major bouts coming up in the month of October. Now, we're going to close, like I said, it's going to be a short podcast. We're going to close this podcast by talking about the bravery and the overall just gorgeous, beautiful heart that a man has here in the Beltway. Many of you have heard me talk about a guy by the name of Buddy Harrison. Buddy Harrison, of course, is known primarily for 2 things. He's known for being the father of undefeated Dusty Hernandez Harrison, who, by the way, I can't say much more about this, but I do hear there's some big things that are coming down the pike for Dusty Harrison in the very near future. So hopefully we can get some more detail and get that out to you. But there will be a very big thing on the horizon for Dusty Harrison, so tells his father. Now, Buddy Harrison also owns, he runs Old School Boxing, which is located at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. And with his gym, of course, he allows young people to come in and work out. Sometimes, many times they can't pay, but he allows them to do that. But a lot of people don't know about his overall big heart that he has. I'm trying to find the words for it because it's just an amazing story. I'm not telling anything that he hasn't told himself, but he did serve some time in prison. He was in prison. I think he served 10 years for armed robbery. And he finally got out. When he got out, he changed his life around. He accepted God into his life. And what he does with his life and what he does and has to offer people is just amazing. He has clothes drives almost on a weekly basis for people less fortunate. And he'll come by, he'll just give out clothes and give out all sorts of things that people only need. And it's just wonderful to see that he does that out of the goodness of his heart. Now, Buddy lives in one of the roughest areas in D.C., Washington, D.C. He lives on a place called 30th Street, Naylor Road. He lives in Naylor Gardens area, southeast Washington, D.C. And a couple of days ago, as we record this, now he said, he and I talked about this earlier today, as a matter of fact. He wakes up and hears gunfire. He goes to bed and hears gunfire. There's gunfire all over that area. This particular day, though, was different. He heard gunfire, went out to see what it was all about, and saw a person just randomly shooting his gun. He shot his bullets at the windows of the car. He just shot all over the place. Now, Buddy was out with his dog Chuck. And as he told me the story, he wasn't going to do anything except that his wife T was driving up. So he went out to save his life. And what happened was, according to the story, his dog Chuck distracted the person who was shooting the guns, and Buddy basically punched him out, disarmed him with the gun, and he was arrested and charged with numerous. I'm not even going to say his name, but he was arrested and charged with numerous firearm violations. And as Buddy told me, he wasn't going to do anything except his wife was driving up. That's another part of this story that's very interesting too. Buddy's wife T and his ex-wife Linda have a tremendous relationship. I mean, you can, when Dusty fights, both of them are there, and there's no bad feelings, there's no bad talk. They're not arguing among each other. They are two very beautiful women. Both of them are, inside and out. And I know them both. I happen to know them both, and I'm very glad to know that whole family. They're a beautiful family. And Buddy is just one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. He's just a wonderful person, and he is giving to those less fortunate people who, he could have been one of them, in all honesty, with some of the things he had done in the past. But he's done so well, and it's just a beautiful example for his son Dusty. They've had their issues. There's no doubt about that. They've had their issues. But they're back together, and they're working together. And but he did tell me that Dusty has some weight to get off to get ready for this big news that I will hopefully share in the near future. But I won't share it now. But the bravery of this man. I mean, not everybody. I don't know. Too many people have done what Buddy did. And again, the only why he did it, he said, was because T, his wife, was coming up the driveway or coming up the road at the time. That's the only reason why he did it. But he did it, and when he talked about it, he was on one of the local news stations here in D.C. And he said he was thinking about the guy that they ended up arresting, and he's hoping that he'll get himself together. He'll even come down to old school boxing and train with him. He'll do that. That's the type of guy Buddy is. That's the type of guy that he is. And so Buddy Harrison, just a tremendous person. And again, if you get a chance, it's on, I believe it's the Fox 5 DC, the local Fox station carried the story. They only carried the story, as a matter of fact. And they've been covering him for a while. They've done a number of stories on him in old school boxing. And he's been, well blessed by the media. And well, he should be, because what he does is outstanding. What all our trainers and coaches do in the area are just fantastic. They do a magnificent job. I know it's been hard during the pandemic, but they all do a tremendous job in this area. And that's why we have the best boxing in the world, because of these great, great trainers. No question about it. And the boxers themselves. But definitely the trainers and coaches, they really have helped us become the great boxing area that we are. No question about that. And that will do it for another edition of the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Remember, the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network, brought to you once again by Real-Time Pain Relief. You go to freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Once again, now endorsed by two-time heavyweight champion Big George Foreman. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Remind you, as always, keep supporting the best boxing in the world. The boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.